Do you ever wonder, years from now, as you lay down with time slipping away from you at a merciless pace, what it is you will feel when you look back at the many pages of your life? Will it be joy, regret, remorse, shame, appreciation, or perhaps a bitter disdain? What feeling will you have when you can only look back, when looking forward is becoming a fleeting opportunity? There is a saying, it's not the years in your life that count, it's the life in your years. Hold on to those words, my dear reader, as we step into today's story, a tale of life and death, of anguish and regret, written by one of the giants of classic literature, Leo Tolstoy's The Death of Ivan Ilyich. The Death of Ivan Ilyich is a mighty powerful work. First published back in 1886, it is a short work, considered a novella rather than a novel, yet despite being just over 100 pages, it never stutters in delivering its message. The story focuses on Ivan Ilyich, a high-ranking judge who lives a comfortable, if somewhat meticulous life of pleasure and order. He takes satisfaction in the little things and spends ample time decorating his home, filling it with fine curtains, polished wood, and carefully chosen ornaments, proudly presenting his wealth and success to others. The house becomes a stage on which he performs the role of a perfect gentleman. One day, through a sudden twist of chance, his life takes on a new trajectory. After knocking his side when climbing down a ladder, he slowly succumbs to illness. This strange ailment begins as a small pain in his side and progresses throughout the book. He even develops an odd metallic taste in his mouth. At first these concerns are brushed aside, but as the illness advances, his health deteriorates rapidly, and the hope of a cure becomes a dim possibility. The once bright rooms at his home grow heavy with silence, each object around him a reminder of a life that feels hollow. As he moves through the many stages of denial and later acceptance that come with his illness, he finds himself looking back, and rather than feeling joy for the moments in his life, he feels a deep sense of regret. I mentioned at the start of this book how you might feel if your days were running out. Would you look back and feel your time was well spent or wasted? Ivan Ilyich lives the life society deems proper and good, yet as he slowly accepts the severity of his situation, he realizes he's lived an empty, superficial life. And so, what about us? How many of us live by the same rules he did? How many of us chase the career, the house, and particularly in modern times, the perfect image? How many of us pursue these goals without ever stopping to ask, is this truly living? It is so easy to seek validation and approval, to consume and then feel dissatisfied, only to start the cycle all over again. This book made me ask myself, what really matters? Perhaps it is the deepest question we can ever ask. As he becomes more unwell, Ivan Ilyich begins to notice that the people around him don't truly care for him, offering him only shallow words of concern while avoiding the discomfort of his suffering. They do not want to be in the presence of him. He dampens their mood, and perhaps most painfully of all, he reminds them that they too are doomed to face the same realities of death. I suspect some people may have tuned out of this review at the very mention of death. It is a bitter pill to swallow, yet perhaps the reminder of death doesn't have to shelter us from living. Perhaps it can be what infuses it. Of all the people in Ivan Ilyич's life, only his servant Gerasim goes above and beyond to comfort him, recognizing his suffering and doing what he can despite knowing his fate. In the bedroom where Ivan Ilyich lies, often in immense pain, Gerasim does not shy away from the reality of death or mask it with hollow pleasantries. He faces it with a simple honesty, tending to Ivan Ilyич's needs without complaint, and in doing so offers Ivan something rare in his final days: genuine compassion. A measure of a man is not in what he has, but in how he acts. Despite Gerasim being a servant and often seen as lesser by those of the nobility, here he shows more humanity than anyone else. Ivan Ilyич's final days can be a discomforting read. As the former judge falls further into illness, his mind drifts back to his younger days, to moments from his childhood, early career and family life. At first, these memories seem pleasant, small flashes of joy and success, but they begin to feel hollow when he realizes how much of his life was spent chasing approval or avoiding deeper truths. The laughter of youth, the pride of professional achievement, even the comfort of his home now seem distant, as if belonging to someone else entirely. It is in these quiet, painful reflections that Ivan Ilyich begins to understand just how little of his life was truly lived. The realities of death are something ultimately none of us want to face, but Ivan Ilyich's resistance to his struggle only serves to cause him further suffering. There is a profound moment at the end of this book where Ivan Ilyich finally accepts his fate, and in doing so he feels the weight of his fear begin to lift. In that acceptance, his thoughts turn outward, to his family, to those he will leave behind, and he's filled not with bitterness, but with a sense of compassion. It is in this moment, just before the end, that he realizes what it means to truly live. It is amazing how a book so small can touch on so many aspects of what it is to be human and what it means to live a good life. In this review, I've barely scratched the surface. Even Ilyich's isolation and the hollow words he receives from others can very much mirror the realities of mental illness and depression. And when reading these parts, I was reminded of the way that some people can feign interest. It's hard to know whether the people we surround ourselves with are truly worth our precious time. It is in moments of tragedy where these answers are often given, and it is in moments of personal struggle that we begin to analyse our own life decisions. Let this book teach you that you don't have to check boxes for other people, that what one person measures as successful, another may not. Often, when we seek out a goal, it pales in comparison to the things we didn't expect, the little moments, holding your children in your arms, laughing unexpectedly at a comment your friend made, or a compassionate gesture from someone that appeared from nowhere. Even Ilyich looked back on his life and felt empty. The real question is, will I? Or more importantly, will you? My friends, thank you again for tuning in for this book review. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and I will see you here again soon. Bye-bye.